Hello and welcome to Hidden Existence. I hope everybody's doing all right out there tonight. We have got a great show tonight. It is always a great show when we've got Larry Battson on and Mark Dunn out there tonight. We have got a great show tonight. It's got their always a great show when we've got Larry Battson on and Mark Dunn. I think it's Katie. Katie, I think you've got your volume on from YouTube, maybe. I'll let you sort that out. Anyway, so welcome, Larry and Mark. Let's start with you two. Thanks for coming on.
Happy to be here. Oh,
hold on, I got a call.
Now we've got
pizza guy. He's doing pizzas at part-time, so he might have to put an order in.
Wait a minute. I'll take care of this. Leon's Pest Control.
I'll put him on. Oh, it's going to be an interesting one tonight. Let's introduce Katie. Katie from North Carolina. Thanks for coming on, Katie.
You're quite welcome. I'm glad to be here, Daniela. I appreciate the invite.
Well, I appreciate you coming on because I know you haven't been too well. You and your family have caught a bug and you've been recovering trying to get over it for the last few days. So I appreciate you coming on and taking us through your encounter and giving Larry a description. Your encounter happened when you were only 9 years old, but you got a very clear visual on this Bigfoot. I was going to call it Big Man because it's definitely a man.
Yes, he was indisputably a man.
Well,
I think I know what she means by that.
Oh, good. Larry, do you want to take it from here and do it the way you do it?
Well, yeah. Are we ready to start?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
All right. Well, I have to move my camera.
You move your camera.
And as I warned people before, if you get car sick or if you get sick on a roller coaster, you may want to look away from the screen because it's. Hello, how you doing? Hey. Oh.
It's a nice tour of the studio.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Wow.
Hey, man. Act like I've done that before.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll let Katie, if you don't mind, bring us into the encounter and what happened that day.
Okay.
Let me just, thank you, Head Carter. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Sorry, Katie.
Oh, no. That's quite all right. My family and I, we were living at that time in a part of North Carolina that was close to the Uwharrie Mountains. And I know many people have probably heard about encounters or reports coming from the Uwharrie Mountains, but this was back in 1982. And no one really discussed Bigfoot in any way or form. And in the area we lived at that time, we lived in a little town called Spencer. We would go frequently to the Uwharrie Mountains. My mother, my stepfather, myself, my brother, and her friends. And we just spent a lot of time in the Uwharrie National Forest, in the area surrounding it, Baden Lake, Baden itself, which was the town we were closest to when my encounter happened. We had went many times, countless times. We'd been to that area before, and other areas of Uwharrie. I had never seen anything, never had any reason to be afraid of anything other than rattlesnakes and copperheads. Just never. There was a lot of people spent their time on the trails out there, and back at the time, it wasn't as camper and hiker friendly as it is now. A lot of the trails were just game trails that hikers went down, or trails we created on our own. And we just had a good time in the woods. We made a family time out of it, a day of just enjoying wood time, being in the woods and hiking. And in that area, there's also an area that is called the Hardaway site. Now, I've looked that up, and since I last told my story on Bigfoot Odyssey, It is called the Hardaway site, and it is the site of an American Indian settlement. And it was on property that was controlled at that time by a plant called Alcoa. And I was under the impression that Alcoa had something to do with hydroelectric in the area, but since then I think it may have been aluminum production. I'm not sure. I just know that it was Alcoa. And they did have little, like, not even trails, like tracks cut, just narrow roads for their, assuming their service vehicles, utility vehicles to move along. They were in that area. But I was with my mother and stepfather and a group of her friends, and we had been hiking in that area, especially down towards Baden Lake, and then we'd moved to another area and walked over towards that area because they wanted to try to find this area at that time. Now it's got like, it's protected. If you even go within so far of it, you get arrested, thrown in jail, your vehicle gets taken, so on and so forth. But at that time, it wasn't that way. You could walk up, and it wasn't anything spectacular. You'd find a lot of, flakes on the ground, as we call them. It'd be like rhyolite or quartz flakes where they had made arrowheads. You'd find things like that. And my mother went there with some of her colleagues. She was a cultural anthropologist, and she mostly taught, but she went to that area to take some of her colleagues from South Carolina, where she had grown up, to see the area. And I had just gotten bored because there was a group of several adults, and I was the only child. Only one there under 30 years old, I'm pretty sure. And I had just gotten tired and bored and wanted time to stop and play, be a kid. And we had stopped near that area. I couldn't say if we were in that area or not because I don't really recall where exactly we stopped, other than there being some large rocks that we kind of sat on while we had lunch. And after that, I told my mother, I said, I needed to go have a wee. As we say, go find a tall bush. And that was also time for me to, get a little downtime away from the adult time. And in that day and age, it wasn't, so big a thing to let your kid, get out of sight for a little bit. And so I started making my way away from the group, and it's a hilly area. It's literally the side of a slope of this hill. It's not really a mountain. And it has its little folds and dips. So there was a couple of ravines and gullies that I went across. Not many, but because of them, it seemed like the distance was further than it probably was. Just to put some distance between myself and the group and to get out of their sight. And I was just kind of playing. I was making up kid games in my mind as I was going, because like I said, we were in this area that was controlled by Alcoa, and they did have no trespassing laws. But they were kind of loosely enforced. If you got caught, you could get in trouble, especially if you were damaging the area or just acting a fool. Some people would take motorbikes up there and dirt bikes and do crazy stuff. But otherwise, if you're pretty calm and quiet, they wouldn't actually go out and actively be hunting for trespassers. And I had this in my mind that you don't want to go out into the open because one of the Alcoa people could see you and you could get in trouble. So I was making this game of I'm sneaking, kind of playing. I think it was some kind of hide and seek sort of game in my own mind. And I got to an area where I was going down slope, and I could tell by the way the vegetation was changing and the slope was starting to kind of get a little steeper that I would be getting to where that track would be, the Alcoa service vehicle track. And there was, if you've ever seen where like cut a road through the side of a hill or cut out part of a hillside to make room for a road, there's a steep, just a cut, like an embankment, a slope. And it's usually cleared And this one had been. It had weeds. It had grown back up, just weeds and small bushes, nothing very tall. And then I can't accurately guesstimate the distance from the actual track itself. There was the tree line up at the top, and I made it to that point, and I got there, and I thought, okay, I can see anybody before they see me because I'm up high. I have this little bit of screen of these weeds, and here's a good tree. So I picked my tall bush, and I took care of business, and it's a good thing I did because before I'd finished and I had stood back up and was fastening my clothes, and before I don't remember seeing this thing before I started feeling like something was wrong. Just feeling like if you've ever felt like you've stood up too fast, just that feeling of like you're almost going under sedation, just lightheaded, like you're going to pass out, weakness. And I looked up, and as soon as I looked up, I was already looking at this creature. It was down that cut, down the slope and down the cut, across the track, but on the other side, at the tree line where the hill continued downward. I was already looking at it. It was already looking at me. I've heard several times that people say don't look them in the eye, but it was too late for that. And I just had this sensation of being the best way I can describe it now is being very sick. Feeling sick, feeling a pressure inside my chest, in my abdomen, like something was pressing down on me, almost like I said, it felt like sedation. If you've ever been put under, like at the dentist or whatever, just like your brain's heavy, like you can't command yourself. Even rational thought went away because what I was looking at, I had never seen. I had never seen anything like it. Human, animal, nothing, not even on the TV screen. I thought I was looking at a wolf man. Well, it took me time to come to that conjecture because I could not place what it was in my mind. And the closest thing I could think of was a wolf man is real. They don't have the stories right. And I'm not talking about like the American Werewolf in London whole deal, that the Howling, not that it didn't have a snout or anything like that or pointed ears. I'm talking like Ray said, Lon Chaney Jr., the old, 50s, 60s, B grade horror type of Wolfman. And the thing that made me think that more than anything was the hair, that it was hair covered. But to me, that's what it became. And I got a very good look at it. It was roughly, my best estimate is about between 50 and 60 feet away. I could see, my memory goes as far at least to maybe just above the knee. I don't have any description for what it looked like below that because I don't have any memory of it. I don't know if I just didn't look, couldn't look, or just don't remember. But the upper body, from probably what would be its mid-thigh on up, I got a good look at. In the face, I was transfixed on the face. It was just impossible not to look at its face.
All right, let's start there.
Okay.
That's intense, though, an intense encounter.
Yes.
For a 9-year-old.
The age.
I've always said it was vanilla because it made no sound. It made no gesture at all, nothing of threat, aggression. It just stood there with its arms straight by its sides, looking at me, looking at it. And I've always... I'm sorry.
What was the shape of the top of its head?
It sloped back. It would be nearly a point, almost like a diamond shape, I would say, but more rounded, maybe.
Now, once I get started on this, Katie, if there's anything that I draw that's not right, do not hesitate to say, no, that's not it. That's not it. Don't hesitate at all because we want to get this one right on the money. All right.
Yeah, you won't offend anybody.
You won't offend me or anybody.
The eyeballs are gonna have to come on.
Okay, so let me see if I can get the top of his head close to what you saw.
I'll put you on the big screen for now, Larry. And so
That's a little bit too pointed.
Okay.
There was a point, but it didn't seem that high over the head.
Is that more like it?
That's more similar. It also had something. The hair was thickest at that point, and it seemed like it either had a muscle mass or a hair mass that came above that even. Like it had something on its shoulders almost.
Okay. Is that close to what the top of the head looked like?
That is close, yes.
Let me make it a little darker to be sure.
And you're saying there was some hair on the top of the head that may have even made it come to almost a peak at the top?
It looked like a mass, like if it had not a top knot, but just a mass of hair or something hair covered that came up, not over or sticking up behind, but made it seem broader. There was something behind it too.
Okay. We'll get to that. Did it have a brow?
It did have a brow, but it wasn't. It was heavy, but there weren't arches to it. It wasn't straight across, but it was just heavy, and there was a slight maybe where the nose would have started, where maybe it was a shallower impression, but not not cut in as if a human's would be.
Okay. Is that accurate to the shape of the brow? Can you see that?
I do see.
there's a gap, is there? Did you say where the nose starts?
It wasn't so much a gap. It was maybe just
A dip.
a depression slight. Yeah, there was no arch to the brow at all, but it did have that slight area where the nose.
Okay. Was the brow wide? Excuse me.
It seemed wide over the eyes because the eyes were deep set, but I couldn't see as if like it stood out on its own. It seemed like it just.
You noticed it instantly.
Yeah, it had slight, and then it had like marks, like wrinkles. I guess just it had time worn.
It had what now?
It had like a time worn the skin. It looked like it had been outside. It looked,
Okay.
it had wrinkles. It had pock marks, possibly scars.
Is that accurate with the brow?
A little wider, maybe.
A little wider.
Mm-hmm. A little thicker, also.
A little thicker. Okay. Is that better?
I don't know. It's just there's something. I don't know if it's just maybe when shadows added later, it'll look better. That's just not how I remember it.
Okay. Well, we don't want to do that thing here. Let me just get a.
It's not easy, is it? Trying to do this. It's not an easy.
Did it have a large this area above the brow? Was that large, or did it not seem so big?
It didn't seem so big, and it sloped. So
yeah, maybe where we're running into the problem. More like that.
More like that.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, now I'm gonna hold my pencil down. You tell me how thick it was.
About there. About maybe just a smidge higher. Just a smidge right there. Yeah.
Are you drawing along there, Mark? Are you muted?
Yes. Sorry. I'm watching and listening intently.
Yeah, it is kind of mesmerizing, isn't it? That's how I described it before.
Because I try to listen and see if how I'm thinking she's describing it, and then it's just watching how Larry narrows it down is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. It's a skill.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. One of the biggest difficulties I have is trying to shrink in my mind.
No, I understand.
Down to what fits on paper.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, it's a difficult thing to do. The nose. I'm gonna do the nose next. Describe what the nose looked like.
It looked like a human's nose, except it was very broad, both at the top.
Mm-hmm.
The bridge of the nose, there wasn't like if you trace between your eyebrows how a human's nose juts from the face.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't lay flat against the face, but it didn't seem to stand up as much. And it looked like it may at one point have it either just been smushed or broken. It just kind of got broader in the middle a little bit.
Okay. Was it a long nose?
Yes, it was long and very bulky, bulbous. It looked like he'd been in pretty good fights. Like maybe he had scar tissue or keloids. I don't know what. It's starting to look like a Saxon helmet.
Is that accurate to the width of the nose?
No, it was much broader at the top.
Much broader at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, you mean this way?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. More like that?
More like that. Width-wise.
Did it appear to have large nostrils, or were they hidden because of the way he was positioned?
No, they were, you could see them. You couldn't see up them. It was broad across the face, kind of flat.
Okay.
I could see like the edge of the nostril. It had a pinkish color, like the end of a cat's nose.
Okay.
Melanie's asking, is Larry a sketch artist by trade? Larry does do drawing sketches. I'm going to put a link now to Larry's Facebook page, and you should go and check it out. Go and send him a friend request and see his work and what he does. So, if you want any commissions doing, he does great pets.
Mm-hmm.
He does
For
everything.
sure.
He does his great. His Bigfoot.
Oh.
I'm going to get you Bigfoot images that you've done.
The sides, the nostrils were fatter. They were more
Fatter, okay. Is that more accurate?
That's more accurate. I don't know if it's just by nature that it was a bigger being, but they just seemed larger to me.
Okay.
It had the hood. It had a hooded nose that you
A hooded nose?
like humans have the end of a nose. I'm sitting here like pinching my nose, trying to get this across. I don't know how to describe it. It would have had like, you couldn't see both nostrils clearly, you know? You could see like the bottom of them like you would with a human nose.
Okay.
At the edge, this to the sides of the nostrils were wider, were bigger area.
Okay.
But the tip of the nose and the nostrils were facing down towards the mouth?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that closer?
Much closer, yes. Its nose, like I said, would look pretty well.
Even
Yeah, it had a lot of it. It didn't. It looked like it had warts on it or just growths, where like bumpy, lumpy, not like your brother's grim witch that kind of thing, but it just looked
all right.
like he'd run it into a few tree limbs too many, or
Well, he probably has. Is that width right?
it looks right now, yeah, for what's drawn.
Okay, let's talk about the eyes. Were the eyes? You describe the eyes to me.
They were solid black. I didn't see any variation in color,
Mm-hmm.
any whites.
Were they large?
Very large. They were just
Recessed underneath the brow?
They were deep set. You could see like folds of skin, like there was a line, like if you had laugh lines, but it seemed to go higher up the side of the nose
Mm-hmm.
and come down towards the mouth.
All right. Well, before I get that area, let me go ahead and get these eyes. So you say they were large eyes. Were they closer to the edge or in the middle, or
a little bit closer to the nose? He looked
a little bit closer to the nose. Okay. Too big, too small?
The size is about right. It's the shape. They weren't quite as almond that I remember.
What would you describe the shape as?
More round.
More round. Okay.
Maybe a little bit protruding a little bit. Just the eyeballs themselves seem to. I'm sorry, I'm a nurse.
It's like big old walnuts under his eyebrows.
Mm-hmm. That's more like the shape.
Like that.
Yes. Yes.
I'm just going to show you guys. This is Larry's another. Yeah. Sorry about that.
That scared the crap out of me.
Yeah. Here's another one he did with a witness. When he starts to shade them in, they really do come together. I mean, you look at this now, but it's incredible what he does.
How are the eyes now, Katie?
Just about spot on, especially the one on what would be your right.
This one.
You doing okay, Katie?
Yeah. Let's come to terms.
Okay. His cheeks. What do you remember about the cheeks?
They were broad across. They helped give what appeared to make the eyes deep set.
Oh, so fuller in the top.
They didn't have that dip.
Not this dip.
Not that dip, no.
Okay.
Well, there was a lot of hair in that area. I don't remember it being that kind of,
Okay.
but they were
Is that better?
a little too much. They weren't quite that skull-like appearance. I mean, you were aware he had cheekbones.
Okay. Bless you.
More like that.
Okay.
If you hear howling, my neighbor's dog is talking to the neighborhood.
Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay. Let's talk about its mouth. What do you remember about its mouth?
It definitely had a good area between the base of its nose and its lips. And its lips, to me, were thin. Like they weren't full lips. They didn't look like human lips. They were lips. They were just stretched across the face.
Okay.
But
How far down from the bottom of its nose would you say that? I'm going to move my pencil and you tell me how far you think the lips started.
about there.
Did the lips go from the edge of the face to the edge of the face?
No, but the hair started below what would be the cheekbones. And it was long.
Oh, this was hair here.
Yes, it wasn't thick hair, but it was long hair. I could see the skin color through the hair.
Oh, okay. All right.
But there was no skin on the cheekbones, around the eyes,
Okay.
around
Very
the
good.
mouth.
But almost like sideburn, pork chop, sideburny.
Sort of, yeah. No, the hair came close to the mouth.
Okay.
The mouth was just,
Tell me how wide the mouth was. Do you remember?
keep going. Okay, that's good.
Right there?
Like that, but it had an appearance like, I don't want to say a snout. Like it had a overbite, maybe, because
It had an overbite?
well, no, I don't know. I didn't see its teeth. It was
Okay.
it was moving its mouth like it was sucking at something or slightly puckering its lips.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That helps me a lot. Would that shape of the mouth be accurate?
Pretty much, because it wasn't thick at all. I mean, there was more thickness to the lips. It wasn't that thin, but I don't know if the way it was moving its mouth affected how its lips would appear, but they didn't
Okay.
appear to be like.
What about its jaws and its lower jaw?
From the cheekbone, it was long,
Mm-hmm.
but not disproportionately long to it.
The chin. How big was the chin?
I didn't see a chin so much because it struck me as having like a receding chin.
Okay. Okay.
And that also gave the appearance of having its teeth, not like a chimpanzee at all. It didn't have this bony place right here that we humans have. It didn't have that I saw, but there was also hair there.
Okay. All right. So let's just do the shape of his jaw here. I think I know what you're saying. Did the jaw look like it had muscles in the side? Did it flare out at all?
Like you mean like beside the jaw? Like would it have
Mm-hmm.
a mandible?
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing that. I don't recall that.
Okay. Okay. All right.
You kind of went on a small screen. It's hard for me to see what you're doing.
I understand.
I'll bring it back up. I was just getting some more images. That this is one of my favourites that Larry's done. I really love that one.
Yeah, that print's available too. I love that one too.
Yeah, if you go and, like I say, check out Larry on Facebook, and if you want any of these prints.
If you don't have Facebook, you can always email Larry at Larry L. Battson at People PC.
Yeah.
Put it in the private chat, Mark, and I'll put it up as a banner.
Is that .com, Larry?
Yeah.
L. Battson.
Okay. What do you think?
Let me put yours up, Larry.
Okay.
No, the jaw cuts in too much. It didn't.
That's not a problem.
We'll get there.
I mean, it came down some, but it was almost like it went straight to where the chin would be.
Was it biting its lip, Katie?
I didn't see teeth.
No, but kind of like that, like it was sucking in its.
Maybe like if it was sucking its teeth, yeah, or had a piece of candy in its mouth, but I don't think it had candy.
Mm-hmm. You don't know what people are gifting.
God, that's what I was going to say.
It's some peanut butter, something.
You know what I gifted it? I gifted it some ABC bologna sandwich.
Okay, what about that jaw there?
So, guys, if you want any of those prints or to see any more, this is Larry's email address.
I still feel like that's too much area below the lower lip, chin area.
Oh, okay, okay.
It was like a receding or a weak chin.
I'll put that back up now and again for people.
Okay, now follow my pencil and you tell me when they're, Katie.
About there. About there. And it kind of angled back. There was hair there.
Like this?
It's very light. I'm having difficulty seeing.
No. Like that?
Similar to that. Maybe it was a little further down, but if you can imagine that area above it being like the lip, right there.
Okay.
And hair, thin, scraggly hair.
So you said they didn't have the divot between the bottom lip and the chin. It just kind of went bottom lip right to chin.
It's what it seemed like. It seemed like if it had a chin, it was behind its teeth, like an overbite, a weak chin. A weak.
Is that closer?
Somehow it doesn't look right. It just I don't know if I'm able to describe it correctly.
On the sides where the cheekbones came down to the chin, did it hug closer to the edge of the mouth in more of a angle?
I don't think so, but there was hair there. It didn't have sunken cheeks or hollow cheeks.
I agree with that comment that just came up. Thanks, Cheese Freak.
Is that closer?
A little. I'm still not 100% on that chin. It maybe could have had just a little bit more length in between the chin and the lip.
Okay.
Trying to think of an actor or somebody famous who has that kind of chin that I'm talking about. It looks like they're just.
That closer?
I think it's the fullness that you're putting in this bottom part, the rounded part there.
This part?
No, over to the right. That fullness there. I think that's kind of what's throwing me off because it didn't have that blocky
Jowl.
look.
More like that?
More like that.
Oh, less of a jowl.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's as close as we've come. I don't think that I have the words to accurately describe it, but that's as close as we've come. It's almost like it had a sloping jaw. But where the chin would stop would be behind the teeth.
Larry, maybe if you have a look at Katie as she's describing it, it might. Katie, do you want to like visually kind of? I mean, I know it's difficult, but maybe.
Yeah, this whole area, it was wide, but the thing was big.
Was this all hair covered? This all was?
Not completely hair covered. It had a thin layer of long hair that came down. It did lie close to its skin. It didn't just hang there and swing.
Okay. You say this was all wrinkled in here.
The nose over the face, it had areas that looked like it had injuries, healed injuries, or
Okay.
just bumps and knobs and pops and scars.
What's your memory on this jaw here? What bothers you?
The width at the bottom, I think at the back, at what would be our lower jawbone, angles back up at our back teeth.
Okay.
It seemed like it was narrower there. Like its jaw was just underdeveloped compared to the rest of it.
What about that?
Hard for me to see.
Hang on, let me get it up.
Much better. Yes,
Yeah.
much better.
I can feel that now. Like you're saying, the chin is going down, isn't it? Back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The top lip over in a way. I'm trying to give a mix of letting you see Larry do it, but you're obviously giving him clues when you're pointing to your face. So I'll try and get the two right, when you're doing it.
What about that?
Your right side, Larry, is very, very close, very similar, very accurate. The left side is still a little too full.
Oh, yeah, I can see that now.
So if you were to look at him in profile, Katie, do you think it would almost look like his lower jaw wasn't even, or his lower chin wasn't there? It just went straight from his bottom lip back to his throat? I know you didn't see him in that way, but
Like I said before, if I were to see him in profile, I would describe it probably as being a receding jawline or a chin. Just because it gave a prognathous appearance to the lips. They were not by any means like a snout, but they did protrude more, the teeth, the lip area, than not like way past the end of the nose, not grossly so. if you understand what I'm saying. But
Mhm.
it protrudes most.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the jaw now?
Closer, a little more narrower of the chin. A little narrower. If the chin itself were a little narrower.
Narrow over the chin. Mm.
What do you think?
Closer than we've been so far.
Getting there.
Maybe with shadowing and the hair, it'll come together.
Do you think a bit more narrow though? Do you think on the chin?
The chin a little bit narrower. Yeah, the chin area. If you touch your chin and hit it with your hand, it had that slope. It didn't have a defined. Very much more. Very much more.
I mean, that's it.
It's very close.
Very close.
It's very close. Like I said, I'm having to imagine what it would look like with less hair on it.
I understand. All right. Well, let's. I'll set the pencil down for a moment here. And of course, I'm drinking out of the Yeti, North America's greatest drinking device. Keep that beverage cold for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, maybe even years.
Red Solo cup.
You've got to write to them, Mark. I think your dad's owned loads of Yeti cups from them.
Yeah.
The amount
We
of
need
advertising. Yeah,
we need to get him on board.
definitely.
I mean, all this free advertisement he's giving out.
I know.
And who knows more about Yeti?
Hold on.
Oh, what was that?
Okay.
Secret tools of the trade.
Yeah, I get some secret tools. Secret tools you can buy at Walmart.
Oh,
This is pretty incredible, though. I mean, it's not like you're doing a human, like, police would do a sketch where it's a bit easier, isn't it? This is something completely different. And to be able to take a description, and I know it takes time. It's a process getting through it. But, Larry will really bring this to life. As he always does.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Are you okay, Katie?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you very much. I'm a little worked up, but nowhere near where I used to get.
Yeah. That's the thing, of putting it in perspective of seeing it. This experience, putting it in the eyes of a nine-year-old puts in a whole different perspective.
Yeah, you being able to describe it this well is amazing.
Mm-hmm. It's that child's memory too. Children capture details.
Well, the entirety of the encounter was, in my best guesstimate, 10 seconds.
Wow.
And the majority of those 10 seconds I've spent staring at his face. Don't ask me a lot about the rest of it, but I couldn't really tell you. But
It's not something you're going to forget quickly, though, is it? It's something out of the ordinary, and as a child as well. You can imagine this. Something you're not going to forget quickly.
Yeah.
And when did you share this with anyone at any point, Katie?
yeah, as soon as I got back to the adults, I told my mother, I mean, just like a kid would, run up and Mom, a big hairy naked man watched me pee in the woods. And because of the company, I mean, they laughed, the adults laughed, and my mother initially laughed, but she took me aside and gave me what for about making up stories because I was bored or wanted to go home. And I was in a state mentally at that point where I couldn't deal, is the best way to put it. I couldn't deal with her anger, her disbelief, and I was still scared. I knew this thing was out there. I had a pretty good idea that it could take the whole group of us if it wanted to, that there was no protection. And I just had an innate understanding of that. I couldn't have probably put that into words at that age. But now I know, I just had that innate understanding that we were all it's this thing's mercy.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to go to get away. Well, they weren't in any particular hurry. And I'm sure they would describe me as being whiny, and I'm sure I was. I mean, there I was covered in my own sick and ready to go home and never come back. But I think it was a form of shock.
Yeah.
I couldn't talk about it. Even then, I couldn't keep saying, Mom, come on, let's go. There's a monster in the woods.
It's a long process, isn't it?
It was.
The child just.
It was. And like I said, my thoughts at that time were probably not like this. They were actually pretty chaotic, and it's hard for me to remember a lot of what happened after this thing, and it broke the contact. I don't know why. It chose to reveal itself to me. I don't know.
Yeah, we talked about this, didn't we? That there was just no reason why it needed to.
I have no idea. And why it chose to back away as it did. And that's what it did. I just remember it's moving back. I say stepping back, and it was, I'm sorry, so smooth. Just such an incredibly smooth motion, almost like it was on wheels or a rail. That it just faded, just went back between the branches and the trees, and there was a slight movement, and I could see its shadow, a shadow of it for a second or two before it was completely gone. I don't know if it just got out of my sight, if it could have went down to the ground. I just know that I wasn't able to see its shape, its color anymore. And that's when I started coming back into my senses, because I was as helpless. I have to understand how the rabbit feels in front of the fox, when it just is down the ground and it can't move. Because I couldn't have done anything. I couldn't probably even scream to get help. I don't feel like I had that control over my own willpower, my own thoughts at that point. I was immediately sick once I became more self-aware. And I remember just having the most difficult time making things make sense. And I don't know if that was because of just the emotion, the adrenaline from the experience or what, but just walking back those probably 150, 200 yards if you went in a straight line to where the adults were. I'm not even sure how I found them the right way. And just that whole, after it left, just the whole memory of the rest of the day is very blurred, very chalked up.
Were there wrinkles around the eyes? Do you remember that?
Yes.
There were.
I mean, just like you or I would have.
Okay.
Just like you or I would have.
Wow. And you said laugh line, almost smile lines?
It was like a dark line, like if it had like smile lines, but they seemed to go higher up this area.
Okay, in the cheeks, inside the cheeks and along the nose?
Hmm. I'm not sure if that was an actual feature, a line, like you and I would have a wrinkle, or just a darker area, but I remember it being there from just above the nostril a little.
From the inside of the eye down the nose, kind
Yeah.
of line.
Mm-hmm.
Not all, like that line didn't go all the way like up to the inside, but maybe lower, just down. No.
Yeah, you must have been panicking inside. Or
Don't doubt that I was now. Now, in retrospect, I can evaluate my reactions and my emotions a little better. At that time, I couldn't have put these exact words to it. I've had time and taken time to evaluate, and put words to it. Because for the longest time, I was, like I said, I was a kid. I believed like a kid. I was convinced I'd seen a wolf man that Hollywood and all the comic books had gotten completely wrong. Because this was broad daylight. This had to be maybe between 12 and 1 in the afternoon. And, the only thing I could say it was a wolf man because it was hair covered. So that's what it became to me. And because it had to be, and it looked enough like a human, I assumed it had to be at least part man. At least part of its time, it probably spent, I thought of it just a human man, just like the wolf man would. And I had this bargaining thing that I did where I just literally said, you're a kid, you think the worst thing you can do to each other is tattle on each other. You don't go run and tell when someone else does something stupid. So I was like, just don't come after me and I won't tell. I won't tell you a secret. I won't tell anybody about you. And I lived by that. And like I said before, what I couldn't go to anything in my little backwoods hometown back in South Carolina where my grandparents lived, or or my friends and family up in Spencer, and say, look, this is what I saw. I couldn't have drawn it for them. I couldn't have. I'm having a hard enough time right now describing it.
Yeah.
How are we doing so far?
Let's put it up. It's a lot to carry, isn't it? It's a lot to carry as a child. All that.
The right eye, it actually, yeah, that's incredibly accurate.
It is?
The eyes, yeah. Chin,
Okay.
I'm still struggling with. The
Chin's
eyes,
better?
I'm sorry, what?
Is the chin better?
It's better than it was. Maybe like I said, when we get more shading in.
Okay.
It's not quite right though, is it, Katie?
No.
You're struggling with the chin. We'll get to that though. We'll get let him get down to that.
Yeah. The eyes are fairly accurate.
What about the nose?
The nose is incredibly accurate.
And Larry, while you were doing the brows, she did mention that the lines along the nose that go around the nostril, those were dark, down each side of the nose and around that what kind of like what we have. She mentioned that. Just FYI.
Oh.
All right.
Nostrils accurate, Katie?
Yeah. Yes, they are.
And you said, and it was bulbous here.
I'm sorry.
Was it bulbous here? Did you say?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Mark's had to drop out.
Good night, Mark.
Yeah, he's got something he has to do, so he says bye-bye to everyone.
My computer wants me to update Adobe, so.
I remember you telling your encounter on with Kerry a few months back, and I was saying you're telling it so much better now.
It's
not better. You seem easier to say it. To talk about it. You could really see it on your face and in your voice when you were on the Late Show.
well,
and you say you've actually kind of been working with someone to help you get a grip on it, I guess.
Are those wrinkles accurate there?
no, it didn't have wrinkles like that. It just like, do you know what a keloid is? Like a keloid tumor. They're little.
Oh, right.
They just seem to be in it higher up on the nose.
Okay.
Higher up on the nose. It looked like a boxer's nose, the way they get scarred.
Okay. All right.
It looked just rough. I'm sorry, Danielle, you were saying what?
Oh yeah, when we talked on the phone, that you said you'd talk to someone about it to help you
I have.
Get perspective on it. And
On the advice of Kerry, God bless him, he told me, to talk about it. He said, it's cathartic, and he'd actually recommended a lady, but like I said, I'm a nurse, and by profession, I'm a health nurse, and I know many psychiatrists and psychologists, and I chose to talk to two of those who were friends with outside of work, and they helped me a lot. That helped me a lot as far as denial, and which was not something that I realized that I had, because I knew this had happened. I carried it, more, I guess it would be more like suppression. I knew this had happened. I never forgot it. But I wouldn't let myself into that memory too much. I let myself poke around it because it caused me a lot of stress. I didn't want to deal with it. I wouldn't let myself deal. That's pretty much sums it up. And through talking with them and on advice from them, I have a family member who was a licensed hypnotherapist, and we did some regression session, and that has helped. It's helped me remember a lot more and accept a lot more, not be so afraid of that memory, of that place in my mind, so not to feel so out of control of it. Now, I can still get scared. I do. I'm not going to say that I've gotten so brave that, I'm ready to run out and just,
go on a Bigfoot expedition.
Honey, you should say that.
Well, if you're going to do it with a team of people that are there to support one another, and who will, some have experienced exactly what you have, and it could be amazing therapy in a way. but scary at the same time. I don't know, but that would be a safe.
I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to go back and try to be in the woods and try to be comfortable and assured of my own reactions to anything. I'm not ever, and never will I ever want to be in the presence of another Bigfoot again. If I looked over my shoulder and saw one right now, I'd probably drop dead of fright still. I'm not ready for that. I don't think I'll ever be ready for that because there's nothing that I can think of that would make me want to go back to that because it's world changing. It's world changing. Knowing that the world is really not what humans are led to, be comfortable in.
Yeah.
And knowing that you're standing in the presence of something that could take your head off as easily as you could reach up and pluck an apple from the limb if it's your choice.
Yeah.
Okay, are those keloids accurate?
They look accurate. The end of the nose looks, it's almost like it's made up tilted. It wasn't. It was more as a reference point for the end of the nose. It's good, but it was more, think of a dwarf's nose. Gimli on that movie with hobbits and things. I don't want to. We want to cause no copyright problems.
Don't upset any hobbits.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen the movies anyway, so what I would say, I would not be good.
What was his name?
Is that better?
It's better. Yeah, it's better. It's not exact, but it's better. It's very close. This is the end, that circle at the end. I'm not sure if that's just showing that there is that ball, a point to the nose. What was that actor's name? Alan Reese Davies. Daniela, hit me on that.
I'm not sure. Does anybody know the name?
He was Sala in the Indiana Jones. Whoop, there I go, name dropping. And the guy with a whip and a gun. Yeah. Okay, yeah. That's
that better?
Very, yeah.
Bilbo.
No, that was the character's name. I think Alan Reese Davies was the actor of who played the dwarf.
What do you think?
That nose is frighteningly accurate.
Okay, good. Was there a crease from here down to the mouth?
It appeared a little higher, maybe just above where the nostrils flare.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite as high as the middle point of the nose. Not quite that high, just a little lower.
From right here?
About right there. Did
it go straight or was it curved?
It just followed the shape of the face, like around the nose and the mouth. It was just like
that?
Yeah, but it
further up the nose and out.
Out the nose and out. You noticed it. It was just it could have been a crease at the mouth and maybe just a darker line at the nose. Not quite that far. Well,
not quite that far.
Not quite that far at the nose. No.
John Rhys Davies. Is that who it is, Katie?
That is who it is.
Thank you, Frank.
That looks pretty
accurate. I'm curious. Thank you.
This one does?
Yes.
That line right there.
Yes, sir. Yes. More out to the corner of the mouth, though. Because the width of the mouth is accurate also.
Like that?
Yeah. Even with the little extra mark you've got there, so it's almost got like a little extra line there. That's accurate at the width.
This one right here.
That middle line and the one closer to the mouth. It's
This one here.
Yes, that whole yes. Really? You don't like the big skin on me? Cat bomb.
Okay, like that.
Yes, same on the other side. Just I mean, I was facing him face on. I mean, it was full. You're gonna come off sounding terrible. Full frontal facial. Wasn't he?
It's, yeah.
Okay.
He didn't even turn his back on me. He just. You never seen the meme where Homer Simpson just sort of melts into the bushes? He did that pretty much.
We've got a couple of questions. Chad Bunger asked, at what distance did you see it, roughly?
My best guess, and I'm going to tell you, I'm not the greatest at guessing distances. My best guess is 50 to 60 feet, and that is including that I was looking down on it slightly because it was so tall that it was not looking up at me.
Okay.
There was no tilting of its head.
Straight on it. And how tall do you think it was?
It's taller than 7 feet. It could not stand. I have standard 7-foot ceilings in my house now. And this creature could not stand in my house. It couldn't make it through my front door. So my jumping point is 8 feet at least. I didn't see the whole of it though.
Yeah.
I don't recall seeing.
Don't know how low it was.
Yeah, no. I know it was immense.
Yeah. I've got another question. Hi, Sky Forest. When did you realise what you'd seen, and what made you believe?
And like I said, I spent a good long time, at least 2 years, thinking it was for sure the Wolfman. And then that was when I was 9, and then when I was 11, almost exactly 2 years later, in the school library, I came across a Time Life series of books, and it was like mysteries and something, but it had a Bigfoot section in it. And I thought possibly, for a minute that we talked about it, and I thought, well, it's this big hairy thing. But the pictures that it had in the book weren't like what I saw. They were, I guess, the witness's best renditions, and a lot of them were. I remember they were like profile views, and they were talking about encounters that had happened in California, and other places of the world. And I'm thinking, no, this is North Carolina. It's not impossible, but it's probably not likely. But that was when the first, for me, Bigfoot. I was introduced to Bigfoot at that time.
Yeah.
And I began to, there weren't any programs on cable like there are now. You gotta remember this is 1984, 1985. I don't think I've ever even saw an episode of the Leonard Nimoy one until I was an adult. They just didn't stream it in my area, didn't air it. And I would read local folklore books. I remember I still have the book, and I bought it when I was in my late teens. It was called Ghost Tales of Uwharrie. And because I had Uwharries on it, and that's where my encounter happened, I read that book, not for the ghost tales, but to see if there was anything in there that would mention a monster, a beast. And of course, there was nothing. I would read local stories in the newspapers, kind of secretly, and you saw, especially if you saw newspaper stories, how much ridicule people faced. And when you're, by that time, I had gotten into my teens, and you didn't want to be different. You didn't want to admit that, here, that you didn't want to give anybody any ammunition to say, here, single me out. They already had enough. And probably, I guess you could say I was a closet, not even a researcher, I was a closet searcher, for Bigfoot for a little bit. But most times I wouldn't let myself delve into it too much because it was easier to suppress that memory, to suppress that experience than it was to deal with it, because I really had nobody to turn to, nobody who could tell me, nobody who even wanted to hear, a story like that, as they would say. You're being hysterical, you're being, you want attention. None of that was true. But I feared that judgment a lot. And then when I was about 17, I want to say 16, 17, between 16 and 18, I finally saw Boggy Creek, the legend of Boggy Creek. And it made me uncomfortable. But again, I don't recall that they actually called it a Bigfoot in that movie. And what they showed in that movie, and you're going to think I'm trying to look for something that matched what I saw. I was kind of concrete in my thinking at that time that what I had seen was something completely unique. It was a one-off. I knew that there were stories of Bigfoot, but I didn't really want to call what I saw a Bigfoot until much later. Just because I couldn't see a Bigfoot. I was very concrete, very, what I saw doesn't look anything like that, or didn't behave anything like that, so it can't be the same thing. And when I saw Legend of Legend of Boggy Creek, the creature they portrayed, especially I remember the movie cover, and it had this kind of awkwardly positioned drawing of a hairy creature, and it was gracile. In my opinion, it had slender features or slender arms, and there was nothing slender, gracile, nothing like that about the creature I saw. And it didn't look shaggy. It didn't have this the shaggy fur appearance. It didn't have that. Its fur or its hair laid pretty close to the body. It was longer in some places, thicker in some places than others, especially along the arms. It seemed very long in the top of the head. It had very thick, very dense hair, I should say. And nothing looked like what I had seen, and I was still being very concrete in that stage. And it was not until I met my husband and finally confided into him, and he is from California, as luck would have it. And he would tell me about the stories they had up there when he was growing up. And that's when I really began to associate it with Bigfoot. So probably my early 20s.
Right.
What do you think, Katie?
Is that close?
Very close, yeah.
How's it making you feel? Uncomfortable?
Uncomfortable. My heart's pounding.
Are we close, Katie?
Yes, Larry, it's very close.
Okay.
I think it's hard to know how you're going to feel when you see it put on paper.
I didn't think this far ahead, did you? I didn't think this far ahead.
Are you okay to carry on? Because I don't want to make you feel,
no.
If it's putting you through anything.
I have these skills. And this is just water. This isn't one of my cookies.
I wouldn't blame you.
Well, cocktails are allowed.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I can imagine,
Now-
it's a shock when you're seeing it like this.
It's like almost like looking back 40 years.
Just while
Because ironically, it's fairly close to the time of year that I had my sighting within a month or so.
Kira's Cryptid sent me this. This is the nose, I guess, something similar to this.
Yes, that kind of lumpy, bumpy, doughy appearance. Awesome. Exactly. That just not that that's not an attractive nose. It's a great nose, but that appearance of it, just having that, like it's got extra flesh on it.
Can you see that, Larry?
Yeah.
If that there you go. Someone sending you some big love, Colette Millette.
Colette, that's very kind, and I'm so appreciative. Thank you.
She went to St. Bernadette's school. She lives near a laundrette. She told me this. And there is somewhere that sells baguettes near her, but she doesn't. I think she likes. Can't remember what she likes now.
Does she drive a Corvette?
She doesn't like squirrel. I know that. Oh,
That was probably me. Somebody wants me to do something.
is that your phone or is it your computer?
Probably my computer, but you'll learn. I never get 5. Well, you know what? I've got more than 5 minutes apiece. I need to probably put $100 in the swear jar because I can't believe it. Somebody's always hollering for me.
There was a comment up here actually from Seven Hills Research, and yeah, Kerry Matzasky said that the Sasquatch in South Florida melt into the environment too.
They do. The one I saw, it just, I don't know if you've ever seen the little meme of Homer Simpson and he's standing in front of a hedge and it just kind of melts into it. That's pretty much similar to what it did. It moved. I remember seeing the effect of its moving. I was still transfixed on its face because I think I really was trying to judge what it might do, although I wasn't conscious of that. And it just moved back and just faded into the forest. I don't want to use the word disappear. It didn't like poof in it didn't do that. But it disappeared. It just
Now the hair up here. This was not long.
its cord was pretty bald up.
It's pretty bald.
Pretty maybe 2 to 3 inches, and it had round lines, life lines. Like just you could tell it worked its eyebrows a few times, or its lack of eyebrows, but its forehead. It had lines in it, and they weren't overly accentuated. They were notable, and then the hair started, and it just grew smoothly.
Long hair.
Yeah, the hairs were.
It was kind of sparse in this area. Then what you're saying?
It was sparse in that area. It wasn't. It didn't come all the way down, and it had no hair. Like there were no hair that I was aware of. Just skin in the eyebrow area. There wasn't that. And the hair just
A parting of any sort, or just like you said, there was a lot. Was there on the top?
there was a lot. Yeah, it actually seemed to start overlapping.
So roughly now, where do you think the hair started? If you've seen that now,
The 7th line up.
7th line up, Larry.
There you go, right where he's culling right now. The hair started to cover. Like, it was, I don't know if that's where it started growing, but I know it was covered to there by hair.
It was covered like in this vicinity.
Yes, I wouldn't say that hair was springing, like growing from the skin there, but there was hair that came down there. Excuse me.
Got another comment here from Duck Green. Would you let your kids go into the woods if they wanted to?
No, ma'am. No, sir.
No.
They had we camped, and I define it as being in the woods and in the woods. And I grew up being in the woods where you're hiking a good couple of miles at a minimum to get somewhere. And houses or businesses, ranger stations, anything like that are not close. And I wouldn't ever let my family go into the deep woods. We went camping. I'm not saying we didn't, but we went in a campground where we had bathhouses, 25 steps away, and plenty of other campers close to us. Sorry, allergies are coming for me. No primitive style camping.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing like that. Always threatening my kids with life and limb if they went into the woods, because of course they were kids and they were like, what's mom keeping, probably curiosity. And in a way I did transfer some of that fear, that mistrust of the woods, and just being vulnerable to my children.
Mm-hmm.
But they understand. They know my story. They're supportive. My husband and my children both are they're all supportive of me. I have 3 daughters, and they're all supportive of me. They just can't relate. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
They can't relate. Not that they don't try to or want to, but just on that level, that survival level of the fear and mistrust. And I think that is kind of hard for them. It's like sometimes they've never said as much. I felt like they've said, like they feel, you saw one, you survived, get over it. I'm going to tell you, I come from a family of pragmatic people, stoic. So I'm used to that attitude. So it doesn't hurt my feelings. Oh my goodness, I can't. I'm going to have to quit looking at the screen.
Is the hair, is this accurate?
Does it want to come a bit lower down the hair?
A little bit lower. The hair hanging down a little bit lower. Yeah.
Down in this vicinity?
Yeah. Yes. In both, on the sides and the front a little. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make it smaller. I can't get rid of Larry at this point. I'm sorry. But yeah, don't look.
Look.
Periodically just look.
I'm gonna be like this.
I think for your kids, it's like for anybody who hasn't seen one, you just can't imagine. You can only imagine, but you can't really know how you'd feel or react, or the gravity of an experience and how someone might feel. So, but it's great that they support you.
They do. And so I have 3 daughters. I have 7 grandchildren, and it gets worse with grandkids. It gets worse.
How's that hair looking? More?
Let me just not look in the eyes right now.
Cover the eyes over, Larry, just for a minute, and I'll.
Okay. Longer, a little longer, like more about half, a little longer down the forehead.
So what? 2 fingers up from the brow. Does it come down to?
If you
Put 2 fingers up from the brow, Larry, and see if it's maybe, do the hair come down?
about right, yeah, about there. The hair was long down to there.
Okay, great.
Wow.
Sorry.
I should have had a plan B.
Have you got a Post-it note you can just put over it
Yeah.
for now?
It's okay. I'll be all right. It's just it gives me a jolt. It's giving me a jolt.
You're doing well. You're
It's-
doing well. These aren't easy shows to do, but they are very powerful in some ways for people to see it happening, to see how these encounters affect people.
Have you got any whiskey?
I do.
Yeah, I'd go pour you a glass of it and kind of,
Oh, I'll be coming back with the whole bottle.
Okay, longer still.
Uh,
No, that's about accurate. That's about accurate. Just thicker, a little thicker.
it was thicker and there was more on the top, was
Yeah,
there?
it was dense. Yeah, there was more. It was more dense on the top. Like the hairs didn't get bigger, just like the distribution of the hairs got. And it was thicker.
Okay, so thicker hair on the top.
Yeah, and then the slight. I don't know what. I don't even know. I don't have the words in human anatomy, and that's all I have.
Almost like a ridge, though, coming this way forward of hair. No.
No, not ridge. Just you could see the head, the top of the head, and it was the slope and what that. I don't want to call it a point. It came up like if they had you took the forehead and moved it back here a little, instead of going straight up from the eyebrows the way humans does.
Slope back.
It sloped back and then kind of went up.
Got you. Yeah.
And it wasn't like a vertical up. It was more of a slope up. And then behind that there was this mass, and it could have been hair, and it just
got you
into the shoulders because it looked like the face was just stuck.
Oh, I think I know what you're saying.
Mm.
Okay, we're gonna do that mass here real quick because I think I don't really. So it was like this.
Hold on, Bomber. Let's get this up first, and then we'll get back to Bomber.
Can you see what I've done? It was like that.
More angled on the sides. More, it almost made like a peak. Not that looks like he's wearing a parka.
Well, I'm going to fill that in. But,
Okay.
but I mean, is the hair? Was it out that far?
Not quite that far at the top. No, it wasn't.
Okay.
You just.
And where does it come in at the side of the face?
If you start on the lower face, just below the cheek, just like below the cheekbone, like he had sideburns, one chops.
Okay.
And it went just under the cheekbones, the cheeks, the soft part of the cheeks, and under the chin, under the mouth.
Katie, this kind of looks like one of Todd Standing's Sasquatch. Have you seen that footage? If so, what do you think of it? And that's from Bomber.
I don't really know who Todd Standing is. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Let me try and find the image that I think Bomber is talking about. Well, there's like 3 of them, isn't there? They kind of all look a bit different. Which one do you mean, Bomber? Let's get this one first. Oops.
do you think, Katie?
It's hard to look at.
And then we're close then?
It's, yeah. That's very accurate. I'm ready to start doing this now.
Oh, it'll be all right.
Everyone's here for you. Katie, Diane Fowler,
Oh, Diane, thank you.
Sky Forest, everybody is here for you.
Well, thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
This isn't an easy thing. Larry's doing a great job and you're doing a great job. Even though it doesn't feel great, I'm sure.
So who's this poor Todd fellow that might have seen one of these?
Well, Bomber, do you mean like the watcher with the big black eyes? Like the kind of puppety facey one? I don't know if I should use that word. The watcher. Has he not got like a lot of hair at the front though, that one? Let me get it up. Trying to get it good. Kind of like that. This one here.
No, that looks.
No. Is that the one you mean? Or do you mean the other one? Thumbs. No, not that one. Okay, got you. It's not showing any of the other ones. Oh, hang on. Oh, that one. Got you.
Triangle.
Here we go. This is the other one. This one here. Similar to that?
No.
No, I was going to say that's
no, not at all. I mean, there's. No, I'm sorry. I was getting ready to look up Todd's stand.
okay. Now, Katie, on the chin, there was a small amount of hair.
I'm sorry. My computer keeps wanting me to check my daughter's email. Give me just a sec here.
And you said there was a little bit of hair here. Is that correct?
Yeah, it started like under the chin or under the cheek bone area. Like,
okay.
If he had, I don't know, what do they call those kind of beards? Is it not like mutton chops, lamb chops, whatever? And it wasn't very thick. There was hair. Yeah, exactly like you're doing. It was sparse.
Okay.
There was hair there.
I can see what you mean though, Bomber, with the eyes. Definitely. Those kind of black eyes. Similar.
The eyes, I could not. That was one of its second most outstanding feature. No, I'm not talking about the other thing. I'm talking about how big it was overall. Just how black and expressionless it's
underneath I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Underneath the chin, there was on its chest. Was there a lot of fur? Or was it thin?
It was longer. It was thicker. There were places where it was matted together, like it was wet or stuck with something. So. Underneath the chin, yeah, it was like he had a little straggly beard. About somebody.
Sorry.
About somebody out. I don't want to say that.
Says Kate, are you angry that you were not warned that these beings were out there prior to your encounter?
No.
Do you think you would have known? Would your family have they got hunters? Would they have
I don't think if anyone in my family had ever experienced anything like this, I'm sure they would have passed it along because they sure are fond of telling all their ghost stories and all the things that have scared them. I don't think that if they had any knowledge they couldn't have. Or now we always got told, stay out of the woods at night. The booger man will get you, but that was more along the lines of, I guess like demons and devils, not.
I think all kids are told that, aren't they, in some form or another?
Yeah.
Just to not to go too far from the house. And
How are we doing?
Incredible. That's incredible.
We got him?
Closer than I want to be again, yeah.
All right.
you said you didn't feel any kind of aggression or anything off it, just nothing.
I don't know if it was being aggressive in ways that I don't understand. I've never been more terrified, more frightened, felt more threatened by anything in my life. Never. But it never made any, like you hear people tell their encounters and they say it bared its teeth or threw a rock, vocalized something. No, none of that. None of that.
You were just terrified at seeing something like that.
That's what I don't understand partly about my encounter, and something that I haven't really heard of in other people's encounters, is feeling of something being wrong before I even saw it, before just that
sense.
that just like I said, I felt like it didn't make sense because I'd already stood up. I was fastening my pants, and as I was standing there, I felt like this just oppression, nausea, panic, like a sedation feeling, just my brain, just started feeling that way. And I looked up and just my world flew apart. Everything changed in that moment. I don't want to sorry.
Could this be this EMF thing they talk about?
It's entirely possible. I have not done myself a whole lot of research into what the EMF or what is it they call it? Infrasound being zapped. Now, I guess if it was infrasound, I wouldn't have heard it anyway because I wouldn't know. But I do remember that feeling of something pressing, like just like all of a sudden my organs, my lungs, my brain, everything had become too heavy. I could just feel this just weakness. Even though I remained standing and all that, I could feel this pressure, this weight inside of me, in my chest, in my stomach, in my head, like just like my brain was that sleepy, heavy, tired feeling, sedated feeling. Is the best way I can describe it. Now, I couldn't have described it back then like that. I wouldn't have had the words. I just would have said it made me feel sick. So that's the best way. Now, if that is how people describe the infrasound, the EMF, maybe it was, but it happened before I was aware of how close I was to this creature, of how close it was to me. And that's another thing that just boggles my mind, was how close it came to me. And it's so huge. I can't, like I think I told you, Daniela, when we talked, that to give a visualization to my daughter, I took a king size sheet from my bed and folded it in half lengthwise, and took a couple of tacks, and tacked it to my ceiling. And it's about going all the way to the floor. And I told her, I said, okay, see all this area that this sheet is covering, this creature would not fit in it. It couldn't stand in the house. It couldn't walk through the door. It couldn't be in this room. If that gives you a visual representation of it. And how something that big crept up on me. I mean, I was a wood savvy kid. I grew up in the woods. I mean, we still own the farm that I grew up on. And I was in the woods all the time. I was either riding horses, riding ponies, chasing cows, something. I grew up on a farm. And
did you hear it step back? When it stepped back, did you hear anything, or was that quiet as well?
It may have made a sound, but I don't think I could process it. I have no memory of it. It's like I just don't remember sight. I remember sights. I don't remember sounds or smells.
Phil says it's a good point. As a kid, you've seen a real life monster in the woods. Like, there's a lot, there's a lot to process.
Yes, I did.
Give me just a moment. I'm tweaking it.
Okay. Thomas asks, where did you have your encounter?
I had it in the Uwharrie Mountains of North Carolina, just outside of a little town called Badin. Badin.
Okay. Yeah. Larry's interpreter is a curious Bigfoot with a mischievous. Oh, he's logged off. He'll come back. With mischievous intent. You didn't feel any intent though, did you really?
I didn't feel. I felt, my own emotions. I couldn't have read any of its intent at that age. I just didn't have. don't think I'd even developed that much of a social skill yet to, try to judge character or intent. Now, in retrospect, I've said it before, and I would not call this creature benevolent. I don't know why it didn't come take me. It could have if it wanted to. It could have took all of us. I felt in danger. I couldn't say what it did to make me feel that way because, like I said, it just stood there. But on a deep and I think primal level, I knew that I was in danger. And it was completely up to this creature how my fate went, that I would have no say in it, I had no determination.
Mm-hmm.
Not even just as a child. Even now, if I stood the person I am now in front of that creature, I would be in the same place. I would have no determination because
this is not the creature. Oh, I'll make sure they be.
Larry.
Some people get confused. They get confused a little bit. Say, I look like a Bigfoot.
I'm just going to go and get what Larry's just sent me. So just give me a second. Sorry, Katie.
Sorry.
Katie, thank you so much. I had an entertaining time.
Larry, thank you. I'm very grateful. I apologize for my behavior.
That makes me feel good. If we got it that accurate, that it bugs you that much, then that's what we want to do.
It is extremely accurate.
I'm excited for you to see the tweak. But you may not be.
I may not be. I mean, I am just sitting here like this.
It's all right. It's just a bunch of charcoal pencils and a piece of paper. That's all that's sitting here in this office.
You lying to you when I say I'm ready to cover my eyes. I think I'm having a nightmare.
Oh, well.
He always comes back to get me in my sleep.
They won't. It was just they are fascinated with children. Fascinated with children.
I wonder why.
That's a fact. Well, they can trust children. Children are gentle. It's just like people that wear camouflage in the forest. If you're a Bigfoot researcher, that's stupid, because if they see you, they can think of hunters, guys that carry guns, and they haven't had positive experiences with that. And there's the old thing: you've seen one, there's 3 or 4 you don't see.
My husband has asked me many times to say, why do you think it was there? And I'm like, it was lurking in the bushes waiting for some stupid kid to come along to scare the fizzles and farts out of him, and that's exactly what he did. So,
Larry, what do you think about how Kati felt and this EMF thing or infrasound? Have you heard about stuff like that in your research?
I don't know. It's just we have sensations. All animals have these sensations. This telepathy is exactly what it is they can make you think and feel things. Just like a married couple, for instance. They're riding around in a car. One of them says, well, I will thinking about this, and whoever they're with, they'll say, I was thinking about the very same thing. We have thought waves in the air that we can pick out, especially with someone we're very close to. I do with my wife all the time. She'll bring up a subject. I say, I was just thinking about that very same thing. And these things have that same type of, they can intimidate you without you seeing them. You have this gut feeling, why am I here? I need to leave.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Leon, I think it was about 10 seconds, was it? Your encounter? 5 to 10 seconds.
That's my best guess. I mean, that's about, I think that's as close as I can come. If I try to walk myself through the memory from when I laid my eyes on it until it moved away, trying to think about every moment as best as I can remember it, it's about 10 seconds. It's my best guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's longer than most Sasquatch sightings.
Well, that includes the time of it backing away into the woods. So.
Strangeland agrees with you, Larry. And now he's not married anymore. Things happen, don't they? Look, let's put it up, shall we? Are you ready, Kati?
No, but I ain't gonna get them already. So.
Okay.
Oh shit! I said a bad word. I'm sorry.
Oh, don't worry. The swear jar's free tonight.
Free? I wish I'd have known that.
Yeah, not for you, Larry.
How do we do?
Incredible. Just incredible.
I'll.
You're okay. It's good. I'm good. I've seen it before, and it was much worse in real life. So.
Oh, that's good. Well, no, that's not for me. I'm the artist. Just trying to make it as real as can be.
Yeah, it's a lot, isn't it, to process?
It is. It is.
And I could see all night you've.
I'm sitting here asking myself,
that time.
Yeah, I'm sitting here saying to myself, you're getting upset, but you asked to do this. You asked for this. What did you think was going to happen? Yeah, I'm very impressed, Larry. Very impressed.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that very much.
I've seen these episodes before, and I don't know. I'm very, very impressed.
I'll put it back up for a second or two. It's just a mix of emotions, I imagine. Seeing it in this form.
It is. There's little things that I just don't think, short of 3D, because the way I saw it live in 3D.
Mm-hmm. But pretty much, especially the nose and the mouth that it was doing. The eyes, just that blackness, just black. I'm not saying it didn't have whites of its eyes. I just don't remember seeing them. Thank gosh I wasn't an American soldier. Oops, I'm sorry, Danielle. It's fine.
We could
It's
send a
fine.
child through college from denying.
Oh, thank you so much, Sky Forest. Donating towards a charcoal and paper ferry. Yeah, I want to send that on to Larry. You're right, Derek. Stressful, and she's been, so I've been impressed with her tonight to sit through that and see that. I don't actually realise just how the impact of these things until you see it happening, and I've felt it with you tonight, Katie.
Well, thank you,
You've
Danielle.
gone through it all night, but you've done really well. And Larry, of course, as usual, just brilliant.
I'm not a nice person.
Wow,
You're not a nice.
you're the best.
I'm not a nice person.
You're
I
great.
used to do this to my brothers. I tell them I was going to turn into the Wolf Man.
Did you just say you weren't a nice person? I would have to.
Yeah.
I would have to disagree. I'll take your brand of not nice person then any day, Larry. How about that?
Oh, you regret it. Yeah, I've got one of the most wonderful wives in the world, and
I've got the most.
yeah, I drive her nuts. So
Same with my husband. So you'd say I'd throw you back in a minute, huh?
oh my God, you couldn't let the screen door hit me in the ass. Oh,
Hey.
that's also a donkey.
Oh,
Fair enough.
okay.
Melanie, drop me a line, Daniela at hiddenexistence.com, and we will talk. We will have a chat. I think Larry is, we'll talk. But you haven't done any of the cryptids, but maybe a bit of a challenge for you, Larry. We'll discuss it.
It's very cathartic. For me personally, it's made me rely on my own strength, do a little deeper digging. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful, Daniela. I'm grateful, Larry. I'm grateful, Mark. Thank you. It was difficult, but a year ago, I couldn't have done this. A year ago, I couldn't have talked about it, not at this depth, not without someone, that was literally my husband or my daughters. It's a big step, and I needed it, and I thank you. Because if I couldn't come through this and see something so close to what I saw that day, and not still be sitting here, not running and screaming and crawling under my bed in fear, I don't need to be doing some of the things I want to be doing. So thank you very much. Thank you.
No, well, thank you for sharing. It's a lot. It's a lot for people to do, and we all appreciate it. There's a lot of love in the chat tonight for you. I don't know if you're going to go and watch it back, but if you read through the chat, lots of messages for you.
I would say, everybody, thank you. Your support is much appreciated. And how much I appreciate all you guys and spending time with
you. Right, let me just put up Larry's link again in the live chat. Well, obviously we're live, aren't we? I'll put it in the chat and I'll put it in the description. Go and check Larry out on Facebook. Go send him a friend's request. Go and have a look at the artwork that he's done. The roll up for sale. He does some amazing stuff. This again, my favorite. One of my favorites. This, I love the belly button. There's something about that one. But they're great sketches, and this is just dots, isn't it?
Yeah,
Larry, just dots, hundreds and hundreds of them.
Yeah, about 10,897 dots.
That was it. That's what I got to as well. Fantastic. Guys, go and check Larry out, of course. And thanks for being here tonight. All the donations, all the questions, all the support. I'm going to be back here Saturday night with Kerry, hopefully. I think with Kerry. Larry, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks to Katie.
Thank you.
She led the adventure.
She did. She did, and
Yeah.
she did it really well. And thanks to Mark. He had to go, but thanks, Mark.
He had an excuse, but I'm gonna tell you right now, he was already scared.
Was it?
He couldn't sit through any more of it. He had to get out of here because he's probably just a big weenie. So that's what I'm saying.
I won't tell him you said so.
Oh, but I will. I get a lot of entertainment value out of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
He's great. As you are. Guys, it's time to go. So until the next time, everyone, take care. Have a good night. Thanks again. And I'll see you soon.